It's time for Remodel Revolution. And now, an award-winning contractor with over 40 years experience. Here is Alex Guthrie.
Welcome to another episode of Remodel Revolution. We are here in the world headquarters of Remodel Revolution, deep in the heart of the great state of Texas. I'm your host, Alex Guthrie. I'm so glad you're here with me today. It is another beautiful day to be alive. I have got a fantastic show today. I've been trying to get Johnny Gordon on here forever. The guy's so busy, everybody wants him. We're going to talk about home inspections, some of the red flags if you're getting your home inspected. What do you need to look for, and what are some of the things people overreact to? We have a lot to talk to Johnny about. And then my dear old friend, Heather Mullally, who is a wonderful designer, very, very talented lady. We're going to talk appliances. I have been needing to have this show for a long time on appliances. So we'll have Heather in just a little bit. But first, I want to introduce our first guest, Mr. Johnny Gordon from the Burgess Inspection Group. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm fine, Alex. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you.
Well, thanks for the invitation.
Good. Yeah, you bet. You bet. So I've been wanting to talk to, I've been doing a lot of shows on, there's a lot of migration into our area, a lot of people buying homes, buying older homes, and I guess you inspect new ones as well.
Absolutely.
And I know I've had you on my projects as a third-party inspector. I've had your group out there a lot, and it's really interesting when you have a different perspective, you know, a new set of eyes come in and look at a dwelling and kind of pick it apart. And how does, for you as an inspector, a home inspector, how does that work for you?
Well, I mean, we're trained to look for certain things, and most people, when they go out to a house, they just look at a house cosmetically. When we go out there, we're looking for things structural and things like that. So we're just trained to look for certain little things that tell us that, well, maybe that's not working the way it's supposed to work.
So it's not, you're not there to just tear down the house I mean, you're not there judging the house. You're just looking for practical things that maybe aren't functioning.
We're just there to tell people the condition of the property. That's basically it.
And so I get clients call me or contact me, and maybe it's a new client, maybe it's an older client that's buying a house, and they say, well, we've had this inspector come in and we want to send you the inspection report and have you maybe give us a price on the work that needs to be done, or the repairs that need to be done, and maybe come over. And so sometimes I'll go over and just take that inspection report and I'll walk through the house with it. Now, from time to time, I'll find one that's never from a Burgess inspector. I'll just say that right now. From time to time, I'll find one that's just not done. It's just not complete. There's just things that I look at and I go, why is this not on this report?
Correct.
Is that common?
Yeah, I mean, everybody goes into a house. You're never going to see the exact same thing on a report. I mean, you can send 10 different people in there, and we're all 10 going to come up with a little bit different things. Some of us all have a little bit different hot buttons. But normally the big ticket items, the foundation, the roof, the electrical, plumbing, HVAC, we're all pretty much on point when it comes to those things, because those are usually the big ticket items.
What do you feel like the responsibility of the inspector is? Is his responsibility to find the little things as well?
You know, the inspection is mainly meant for the big things, but we do put a lot of the small things on there, but that's not really the intent. I mean, it's not meant for that little $50 problem or $100 problem. It's really meant for those $15,000, $2,000, $3,000 problems. So when you have a homeowner that after they've bought the house and they've used your inspection report maybe as a negotiating tool in that house. They always do.
and that's fine. And then they come back and they go, yeah, but you guys missed this, you missed that. How do you respond to that normally? What's the criteria there?
Yeah, well, you know, it just depends on what it is. I mean, you know, a lot of times we'll just talk to them to find out exactly what it is that the complaint's about. Sometimes we have to go back to the property and look at it and things like that. Sometimes it could be that, hey, well, you missed that the gate on the side of the house is not latching. Well, that's not part of what we inspect.
Right.
There's certain, we don't even inspect cabinets. We're not required to in the state of Texas. Now we're opening them up, looking underneath for sink problems and things like that. But as far as opening every one of the drawers and stuff like that, there's a lot of things that we actually don't do.
More cosmetic type
Correct,
maintenance type things. So what if I'm a homeowner and I'm trying to decide on a home inspector, what criteria should I use to make that decision?
Yeah, just go out there on the internet and, pick someone who's been around for a while. I mean, we've been around for 51 years in the DFW area.
Is there a licensing agency?
Absolutely. You have to be licensed in the state of Texas in order to do a home inspection. That is correct.
And what is that agency?
It's the Texas Real Estate Commission. So the same people that license the inspector license the realtors in Texas.
And this is something that me as a homeowner I have access to that
absolutely.
information.
You can go to TREC and see if the inspector's ever had any complaints through TREC or something like that.
Cost-wise, is there a rule of thumb cost-wise on a home inspection? Is it a square foot cost?
Yeah,
or
most inspectors do it based on a square foot. Ours is a graduating where it changes every 500 square feet. But it's on the average. I mean, if you threw all the inspectors in the state of Texas in and average it out, it's probably going to be somewhere around 12, 13 cents a foot.
Okay, well, that's not so bad. Yep. That's not so bad. So let's talk a little bit about red flags. Sometimes you'll look at the inspection report and you're like, oh my gosh, that's usually when I get the phone call. And what is it that you're finding, or what is your reaction to that type of stuff?
Well, a lot of it depends on what red flag they ask, that shows up. I mean, sometimes they're important problems and sometimes they're not. One of the common calls I get quite a bit is, well, how did that inspector miss all the cracks that were in the house? Isn't that a big red flag? And usually that's a depends question. I mean, where we live,
depends on the time of year and how dry it is and how wet it is. And,
I can honestly say probably 80% of the houses we go in are going to have cracks. They're going to have cracks in the walls and in the ceilings and stuff like that.
But if they don't, you're in another state.
Correct. Yeah. So, I mean, if we see the small, and if they're small, they're common in Texas because our ground, goes up and down a lot. But if it's a really big one, then that's a different story.
Well, isn't that the only guarantee we actually give for a foundation?
Is they're going to move.
They're going to crack.
They are going to move. Yes, they are.
How do you gauge as a homeowner? I'll get phone calls from people and they're wigging out over something that I go, well, look, you need to just calm down. It's not the end of the world. How do you normally handle that with homeowners?
Yeah, the thing is we're required to put all these deficiencies on an inspection report, right? The problem is sometimes they're very important, sometimes they're really small. Problem is those really small items at some point have to be, addressed. But a lot of times it's not it's not going to cause you to walk away from a house. For example, let me give an example. Let's say there's a loose toilet and it's on the second floor. Well, that's, on the scale of 1 to 10, that's not a 10. It's maybe a 2 or 3. But if it's a family who has kids and they're in and out of that bathroom, jumping up on the toilet and it rocks and rocks, eventually it's going to wear out that wax ring. And every time they flush it, it's going to leak and leak and leak. So, initially it's not a big problem, but if it's not addressed at some point, it could turn into a big problem.
I have learned over the years of remodeling that different people have different pressure points.
Oh, absolutely.
And I've had people that obsess over different things. Some of them will obsess over counter. I had one guy, he didn't like the veining in the natural stone countertop, and I go, I didn't do that. God did that. You'll have to address that with him. And do you run into that a lot, where people will look at a report and you'll look at something and you'll go, oh, it's no big deal. And they look at it and they go, oh no, that's the end of the world.
Let's go back to the cracks in the drywall and things like that. I mean, again, that's a common thing here in North Texas. If that homeowner's hot button is foundation issues, if there's a crack anywhere, I don't care if the seller says I'll put piers all the way around. Usually they just shut down and go, okay, next house.
Is this the most common thing you're addressing, or is foundation?
Yeah, foundation is one of the big things that we do address, because we do have a lot of problems. And just because a house is moving up and down, foundation is allowed a tolerance, so it's going to move and it's going to have cracks. Sometimes We just don't know if it's within tolerance or not.
Right.
So, I mean, we try to look to see if there's 4 or 5 indicators in one area, and then we go, okay, well, maybe it's time to get the professional out here and take a look at it and shoot the elevations to see if it's out of tolerance now and we need to do something to get it back into tolerance.
Well, one of the most important things in our homes in this part of the world is our air conditioning system, our mechanical system. What are some of the more common problems you guys find with mechanical systems?
Yeah, a lot of times, okay, on the air conditioning, there's some little things again. The condenser outside, that has to breathe. And a lot of times we see them, people try to cover them up because they don't like what they look, and they put shrubs all the way around them.
Yeah.
And, for them, it looks good, but now that condenser just can't operate the way it should. And over time, that can, actually wear out that unit faster than
Makes
than
it work.
it should.
Works
It
harder.
was working a
wear
whole
out.
lot harder. Yes. Yeah.
And what about air leakage in homes? Now, we used to, in homes that are 30 years old, we used to use that as the benchmark, but that was 10 or 15 years ago when I first started this gig.
Sure.
We used to talk about how the air leakage on average was really high. It was 30-40% in some houses, higher in some houses.
Yeah.
Are things improving? And as time has gone by, are we addressing these things better?
Oh, absolutely. Now, and on my side, inspecting, pre-owned homes, stuff like that, we don't do any energy inspections or anything like that. But the other side of our company, Burgess Construction Consultants, they work with a lot of the builders around the DFW area, and they do a lot of those energy inspections because now there is regulations on these brand new houses.
Yeah.
They have to meet those regulations.
Well,
or
the older
they can't
homes
build
are the ones that I deal with, and some of the air conditioning in them is pretty bad. I mean, I go up in attics, and there will be a supply line completely laying on the floor.
That's a
blowing
good
cold
find
air.
during the summer.
It's a good find in the
It is.
summer, and I always know when I can't find my crew,
Yeah, they're up there taking a break.
and they're all up in the attic. I'm going, what are y'all doing?
Absolutely.
But we find return airs that have deteriorated, or they're disconnected, or they're not sealed up right. And of course, we look for dust in the house. There's tells always for us. But I'm curious as we recycle and sort of update our housing stock. I'm assuming that's being handled.
It is for the most part. I mean, as an inspector, sometimes it does get a little bit tougher as we move on the newer houses because they've designed differently. I'm used to seeing in the older houses, you see it all the time too. You walk into a room and every room has a supply and a return.
Right.
Nowadays, usually, it's not uncommon to see just one return in a house.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell without being able to diagnose that system, whether or not, it's really working, correctly. But
So the systems are also a whole lot more complex.
they're getting very
complex.
They are.
And a lot more dependent on electricity. I've always been a proponent of passive, whatever I can do, passive fresh air intakes, or particularly with air conditioning, things like that. But then we moved into these super, super tight houses. They don't want any fresh air coming in there unless they've controlled it coming in. Sure. I still am not a huge believer in that, but anyway. I am always concerned that if we're depending on little fan motors or little motors to open and close vents and things like that, they're going to wear out. They're going to go out. Do you all get that detail? Do you check all those systems for things like that?
Well, there are some systems like that sometimes. And basically our job is a visual inspection to see if there's anything visually wrong, but also to turn on the thermostat, call for supply. Then we just basically, we're looking for what is the differential. We get the 15 to 22 degree difference between the supply and the return air. And if it's within
So
there,
you're just identifying if the system's
Absolutely.
balanced right in that regard, and then you can just say, hey, it doesn't mean there's a huge problem here, but you may need to change your filter.
Oh yeah, that's something we do see a lot of dirty filters. You see the dust on the air register. That's a good sign that they haven't changed that filter in 6 months or 8 months or something
Okay,
like
so
that.
one of the things that I have loved about your company and your services you've offered for many, many years, and probably 20, 25 years that I've been associated with you, is I call you guys for my third-party inspections. is it okay for a homeowner to call you? So let's say they have a contractor remodeling their house, and maybe they're a little bit concerned, or maybe they just want to feel a little bit better. Can they call you and just say, "Hey, we want a independent inspection of this work"?
Absolutely.
Is that common?
Oh, yeah, it is a lot more common than you think, yes. I mean, it's starting, we're seeing that renovations seem to be taking off a little bit, as opposed to purchasing a new house. So we're starting to see some of those calls more and more. In the past, 20 years ago, I never received any of those calls, but in the last 3 or 4 years, we're starting to get
So
some of
is
those.
this a reflection of the builders, of the contractors?
No, I think it's just a more educated buyer and or homeowner. They just want to,
Protect their investment, yeah.
exactly, and hold the contractor accountable and make sure that they're doing the right things.
That's very interesting. And I wonder, do the builders get resentful when you guys step in there if they haven't invited you?
You know what? Some do, but most of them that's been around it, they're open to it because you know what? If you put another set of eyes on it, it could actually protect them liability wise down the road.
Absolutely.
So once they understand that part of it, then they go, you know what? That's probably is a pretty good thing.
Well, there's certain things that I always call you guys for. I always call Burgess because that's just who I do business with. But a third-party inspector in general, things like stucco and things that have historically had issues if they're not done right. And I want to have someone come in and do a third-party inspection. And I've worked in towns where one of the things I did for years is I replaced fake stucco with real stucco. That was a little niche business I had. And there were towns I couldn't get a permit for that because they just didn't offer anything.
Correct.
And so I would just bring you guys in and say, okay, you inspect it. And one of the things that I liked about it, and one of the reasons you would call someone like Burgess to have your house inspected as a third party, if you're the homeowner or the contractor, is the paperwork that I get, that it's been inspected, and they'll tell me, hey, you need to do this or you need to do that, and then you come out and re-inspect it after I've done it, and then I get the paperwork that says it's been done right.
Correct. And that helps it because it helps your liability and it just helps the property as well.
Well, it helps the homeowner have a feeling of security.
Absolutely.
That they're being looked after. So I just do it because of my liability. I want them to feel good too, but I got to sleep too.
Yep.
And so that's really, really, really an important thing to remember, to bring that third party in. One of the things that I've done now, if you go to my YouTube channel, Remodel Revolution, and you subscribe like you should, and I hope you do, please go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Remodel Revolution. You'll see that one of my playlists is the rescue house. And the rescue house was a catastrophe when we got there. I mean, an absolute catastrophe because of a bad builder who knew nothing, and a meddling homeowner who got under the builder's feet when he realized the builder didn't know what they were doing and was hiring some of his own people and didn't know how to qualify them, had no history with them, and was bringing people in there that knew nothing about what they were doing. And Alex got to go clean up the mess. It took a lot of money and a lot of time. Could have saved themselves a whole lot of money if they had just had a third. And the reason I'm bringing this up, the question I kept asking during this process was, how did this pass inspection?
Yeah.
How did the city miss this?
Correct.
I mean, we're talking huge things.
Sure.
How did they miss that?
Yeah.
I still don't know. I'm not going there, not going down that rabbit hole, but a third-party inspection would have mitigated a lot of problems.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
So if someone has like a contractor maybe they're not comfortable with, or a builder they're not comfortable with, what's your advice to them as far as contacting or using a third-party inspector?
Absolutely look into that, because there again, it's just another set of eyes on the property. Sometimes that general contractor, he's not out there every day. When his trades are out there, he just randomly shows up. So here it just gives another set of eyes to look to make sure that, based on the bid, here's what's supposed to be done, and it's been done in a workmanlike manner.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Hey, I really appreciate you
I appreciate
visiting
you.
with us
You bet.
today. It's been a great discussion. Hopefully it'll help some people. Why don't you tell them how to get in touch with you?
Yeah, if you want to reach us, our address, the web address is burgessinspection.com, and our office number is 972-690-3838. I will tell you right now, the best way to get a hold of us is via the website. Because of COVID, our girls that's in the office, our schedulers, are working from home.
Wow.
So that's the best way to get a hold of us at this time is through
Hey,
the website.
I'm glad they're working from home. I got to drive 80 miles an hour down 183 this morning at 9 o'clock in the morning. I loved it. Anyway, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Alex.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back in 2 minutes, we are going to have the lovely, talented, amazingly brilliant Heather Mullally with distinct divine design. Sorry. At least I got her name right. We'll be right back.
The hardest working and arguably most important system in our homes is our air conditioning and heating system. It heats the air, it cools the air, and it filters the air. That's why it's so critical to have it checked and maintained by the very best professionals available. It's time to contact Total Air and Heat at totalair.com. Get that system pruned and tuned. If you want to have the very best experience, you've got to hire the very best company. Total Air's employees are honest, well-trained, and thoroughly background checked. I never have to worry about sending their technicians out to my clients' homes. Family owned and operated for 3 generations, Total Air and Heat has been a fixture in North Dallas for over 60 years. Total Air is a proud dealer of the Trane air conditioning systems, and you know how hard it is to stop a train, so give them a call at 972-881-0020. That's 972-881-0020, or contact them at totalair.com today.
We are living in this really complex world right now where we have our families stuck in the house. We're using our homes to their fullest at this point, to their maximum, using all the electrical, all the plumbing, all the rooms, all the space, and all of the appliances. And as our world has become more technological, we're advancing, everything's talking to each other, and everything's kind of communicates with each other, and we all live on this little phone right here, and we can run our whole life off of it. I thought it would be really fun to have Heather Mullally come in and talk to us about appliances. Now, Heather was in appliances for years and years, and with a couple of companies, several, 2 or 3. She'll tell us about it. And she understands how all of this works, and we'll talk about some trends and some things like that. And welcome to the show, Heather Mullally, with, I'm going to read it this time, Divine Details, which is your kind of new company that you started this year?
Absolutely. After I earned my Associate Kitchen and Bath Designer certification with the National Kitchen and Bath Association, I opened Divine Details. And this year in October is when I decided to go 100% into focusing on Divine Details and design.
That's fantastic. Now, when we met, you were doing mostly appliances, as I recall.
Appliances, plumbing, hardware, lighting.
Yeah. And things have changed a lot since then. That was probably
Absolutely.
15 years ago. And we have this whole new world that we live in right now, in the world of appliances. Talk to us a little bit about how appliances are more integrated into maybe each other, into our homes, into our lives. What are some of the things that are new and different?
Well, connected appliances are definitely on the rise. Almost every appliance seems to have some kind of app or connection. You can connect them to each other.
Right.
You can connect them to an overall house system. Like you can connect your refrigerator to an app and connect it to a smart hub and control everything through a smart hub. One of the disadvantages of a smart hub is that all of the functionality that might be available on that particular appliance's app might not be available on the Smart Hub, just maybe the basic.
So let's break the Smart Hub down.
Okay.
So are we talking about buying a package of the same appliance, like all Wolf or all whatever brand it is, and the hub is how they all interact with each other?
Well, yes and no. There are different manufacturers have kind of their apps and their hubs that work together and connect together. But then there's also whole house hubs. There are different manufacturers that offer a whole house hub that you can also connect your Ring or your August lock or your
Like
Philips lighting.
like a management system for
Right,
your home.
right.
And so it's independent of, it's not just appliances or just
Correct.
AC or whatever. It's like a management system overall.
Correct.
And I guess now that we're all on Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, you in theory could hook anything up to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as it's capable and the hub allows the connection. There are certain licensing rights and things of that nature that not all hubs will connect all products, but do your research. And
What are we trying to control? What are we trying to do with all of this?
well, for instance, in a refrigerator, there are refrigerators that have options where you can see inside your refrigerator from your phone while you're at the market to see, do you need milk? Do you need strawberries?
So your refrigerator is your virtual shopper.
Right. There are cooktops that automatically connect to the ventilation so that when you turn on a cooktop, the ventilation is turned on. So many
And
people don't use their
because
ventilation like they should.
If you're in a really tight house and you need fresh air to make up for the air, in other words, if you don't do that, what happens?
Well, the oils and odors are going to get into all the surfaces of your home, and that's difficult to eliminate.
Well, and your venting system, just like a fireplace, won't vent properly.
Correct.
'Cause there's not enough air. It's got to have an equal amount of air coming to it as going through it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Right. So, the tighter homes definitely do require,
Yeah.
consideration of makeup air.
And so this can all go in your hub. So it kind of will automatically do it. One of them's activated, the other one's automatically activated through the hub.
And that's not available on all appliances, but there are certain manufacturers that do things like that. There are certain manufacturers now that, will automatically add to your Amazon when you need dishwasher pods, and
Really?
things of that nature. There's now, for those of us who have the opportunity to enjoy an ice machine, there are actually filtered ice, automatically filtered with internal water dispensers, things like that. So there's just all kinds of interesting new Wi-Fi appliances today.
Is there a trend in appliances now? Is there such a thing as a trend? I look at things and I ask that question because there are so many options, and it's all the way from colors to the actual how they operate, the connectivity, all of that kind. Are there trends anymore, or is it just putting something together that works for you individually?
Well, I think that really depends on the client, how they cook, what they cook.
If they cook.
Yes, and how they want it to appear. I've done a lot of show kitchens for those who don't cook. I've done a lot of kitchens where it's clients who really do cook.
I love doing show kitchens. and usually it's because I'm doing something else to frame it. In other words, I'll take a wall out between a kitchen and a den, and she'll go, well, I don't cook. And I go, great. We're going to make this look so cool from the den,
Absolutely.
And it really is a lot of fun working with that.
It is.
Yeah.
And, so you have to really understand the client, what they're looking for, how they function in their kitchen. Take into considerations any visual or audio issues that the clients may have, and just find the right package. You know, appliances oftentimes come in packages. There's deals if you do a package, and so the best thing is to just try to find the right package for what that client needs in their home.
So I've noticed lately we've been going back to the colors of the 60s. I had hoped we had gotten past this.
We do have some new
But like
colors.
a lot of things in society right now, we seem to be regressing. Have you put in any avocado colored appliances lately?
No, you know, I've had a couple of white, maybe some black stainless, but there are some new
Sky
colors
blue.
that are available. Yeah.
I am just like, I looked at one, and I'm not saying I don't like them. I think they're wonderful. But I was just
In the
surprised.
right application.
Because it seemed like forever everything was stainless or black. And that was it. That's all anybody wanted.
And I feel like the colors aren't really a trend. I think that appliance manufacturers might want them to be a trend, but most people are sticking with stainless.
Most people want things kind of safe and practical.
Right.
Really.
Because they're
and
thinking
I don't
about
mean
resale.
Safety safe. I mean just safe, visually safe.
Right.
And practical.
And most people are thinking about resale.
Yeah.
And, you know, if they do an avocado green, how is that going to go for resale value?
Well, now we have this transitional design. Transitional. Whatever that means.
Which is a catch-all for pretty much in between Victorian and ultra modern.
What it really means is flat and white. And they're doing their appliances to match. What about the influence that European appliances used to be a huge influence on us? So we had all of our normal brands we grew up with, Sears, GE, whatever they were. And then all of a sudden the Europeans moved into our market and really had an impact on all sorts of things, everything from the design to the features to the quality, really. Is it just now a big international conglomerate of appliances? Do we own appliance companies anymore in this country?
Well, I think that European design still definitely has its place in the premium market. There are some manufacturers that are going a little bit more realistically budget-wise that help bring European companies into the average home. But you know, those tried and true U.S. brands are still very, very popular, and most people want to support U.S. manufactured products today.
Let's talk a little bit about your design business.
Okay.
Tell us about it.
Well, you know, I work kitchen and bath design, also help with organization, mudrooms, laundry rooms, things of that nature. And so I really enjoy, my why is helping people find the right product for their home, their style, and their budget. And sometimes that's not easy.
That's a challenge. It's kind of like trying to climb a mountain with one leg.
Sometimes that's not easy, but you know, I feel like when you achieve that, you have just changed someone's life.
You have.
Especially when you're working with someone who has, you know, an issue of mobility issue or a visual issue, and you can make changes to their space that help them function in their space. It's kind of all about universal design and making sure that everyone in the space is going to be able to function well, as well as being beautiful.
Design becomes sort of standard now. I mean, it used to
For
be
me,
that
yes.
it used to be universal design. We'll try that one out, but I have found that in the last few years that for me, universal design is just something that's just second nature. It's like,
Exactly.
we really need to do this not for this year, but for in 10 years is, I didn't tell you, I'm working on a book, and the title of the book is Your House Was Not Built to Be Remodeled.
I like it.
So, and the reason I'm bringing that up is not to sell the book because it's not in print yet, But the point is that when you're planning to do a remodel, particularly a kitchen or something, just like Heather said, you really want it to have staying power.
Absolutely.
Because that affects the resale, a huge investment that you're going to make. Now, tell me something, because I see this a lot and I can't find it anywhere. Is there such thing as a cheap kitchen?
No.
Thank you, because
not
I keep
really.
saying that too.
Not really. I feel like, I love watching program DIY and HGTV, but I feel like they're a little unrealistic as far as cost and time frame of a project. So that's kind of one of the first things that I talk to clients about is, this isn't HGTV. It's not going to take a week and cost $500.
Right.
So once we get that expectation out of the way, I feel then it's easier to move forward with the project.
Is this a battle you have to fight often?
Yeah, with almost every client, there are some unrealistic expectations on the cost of a project and the time frame of a project, especially now with COVID disruptions in manufacturing. An example, I'm waiting now 8 weeks for a tub.
Oh, wow.
That I was originally told would take 4 weeks because of holiday closures, COVID closures, and things of that nature.
Is it overseas? Is it
No,
anything?
it's right here in the
local?
U.S.
Wow.
And it just, so I'm a huge advocate of let's make all of your product selections early. Let's go ahead and get them on order so that hopefully we're not waiting on a product to come in when you're ready for it.
Right.
It's already here and we can get it delivered, or get it delivered early and keep it in the garage or
I've
whatnot.
been telling people for years, but I learned this lesson many years ago when I did a kitchen, and she ordered all of her cabinets ahead of time, and because she wanted me to start after Thanksgiving and she wanted to serve Christmas dinner out of her kitchen. And I'm like, oh,
That's ambitious.
yeah, boy, I tell you what, I know that I look like your savior, but anyway, we did it.
Wow.
And we did it because we had all of everything on site.
Everything on
ready.
site.
We did not, I would not, I said, fine, but unless everything's out here, I'm not starting.
Yeah.
Because I would rather you be mad at me because you had to serve Christmas dinner out of your old kitchen than you had to order out.
Right.
And so, but we actually pulled it off. And I learned a big lesson there about being prepared when you start a remodel.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like to have everything on site before we start demo.
And the other thing that you brought up that is so true right now are timelines. And I'm having all sorts of discussions with people about realistic timelines. I don't know what they are anymore.
They have changed quite a
It
bit.
starts with getting a permit.
Yeah.
It starts with, we've taxed our architects and engineers to the max. They're also busy trying to keep up. And so just from day one, if you have to have a plan, and then you have to get a permit, and then you have to go through a very complex permitting process that used to be a one-pager, and now it's you're kind of writing a script. And then you get to the challenge of getting the materials, your end of
Well, the
it.
materials as well as your subcontractors, they're also very taxed.
Yeah,
And, this particular industry is in desperate need of subcontractors.
Yes.
Shop classes aren't happening anymore in high schools, and everyone has
Where
been pushed.
we just
our
don't have
trades are-
tradespeople.
Right.
We don't have tradespeople like we used to
Exactly.
at all. And we used to have a kind of a system when I came up in it where, you worked for a company and you stayed there and you did everything. You built houses, you remodeled houses, you did commercial, you did everything. You were just a construction company. And now it's a real segmented type of business where a tradesperson does just a certain thing. You have a person out there that does just this, but he doesn't do that.
Right.
And so he also, in the good old days, I would have a tradesperson come up to me and he would say, "Hey, your electrician needs to check this thing out over here, or the electrician say, your carpenter needs to check something out. They kind of kept an eye on each other and the job. I don't do that anymore.
Right, right.
You go out there and you either see it, fix it, or it doesn't get fixed.
Yeah.
And so it's it's made things a lot more challenging in some aspects of it.
Absolutely.
How do you see the next year or so in your business? Are you getting a lot of inquiries for people looking to do work?
Well,
yet?
Yes, absolutely. Clients being in their homes for the last 9 months and seeing the things that they would like to update and remodel. That's a lot of inquiries about that. One thing that I tell people is you don't automatically have to tear out a kitchen or a bathroom and start from scratch. I have one client now that we're going to keep the existing cabinets, the existing appliances. They function, they work well, but we want to lighten it up a little bit. So we're going to take out the countertop and the backsplash and lighten the countertop and backsplash.
We used to do a lot of that.
Right.
There was a time when we just, replacing all the cabinets was secondary. That was like you're like, cabinets are fine. We just need to paint them. We're just doing more of a cosmetic thing. And if you've got, my challenge from the contractor's point of view is if I have an entire family living in a house and I'm going to go in there and make part of that house dysfunctional,
right,
especially the important part,
the
heart of the house, the kitchen. I got to be really careful how I do that. Your clients get really tired of washing the dishes in the tub.
Sure. Yes.
And they get tired of this kind of warm meal off the hot plate.
Right. I encourage clients who are doing a kitchen remodel to set up maybe a folding table that has a coffee maker, a microwave, small refrigerator that they even, just something that they bought at Costco just to have some refrigeration, or move their current refrigerator out into the garage to make it easier. Paper plates, plastic utensils for the life of the remodel when the kitchen is torn out. So they have some semblance of... We used to do it all the time.
We set up temporary kitchens.
Right.
But I'll tell you, honestly, people are not used to being inconvenienced. No. They don't like it anymore. No. They don't like it. And it was really easy before this pandemic where you'd go, well, just go out to eat.
Right.
Just go to the restaurant.
No more.
No, we can't do that anymore. And this is when you get to know your neighbors and your family.
Absolutely.
Maybe better than you want to. I thank you so much for coming and seeing us today. It was really fun. It was great to see you. You look fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm really happy for your success in your business.
Thank you.
Hope it continues for you in tenfold this year. Hope you have a great year. And thank you for watching the show today. Please go to the YouTube, my YouTube, Remodel Revolution on YouTube. Please subscribe and share it and let me know how you like the videos. And we're going to change up our format a little bit. I'm working on that right now on our videos. Also, there's a lot of how-to videos on there and kind of short little videos of projects that we've done or things that we've done in certain houses. So go check that out. And if you like podcasts, you'll really like the Remodel Revolution podcast. We're on all of the major podcast platforms. Just go and search Remodel Revolution. And also, go to Texas Weather TV. And we're replayed on that. They're as an affiliate on Sundays at 1 and 3. We're on Amazon, Roku, and Apple TV. So check that out, and you can watch a replay of this. And also, please go to our Facebook page and like our Facebook page and tell us what you want to see or what you like about us. Don't tell us what you don't like about us. We don't really care. No, I'm kidding. Tell us if there's anything else you need for us to do to make this more enjoyable for you. Thank you very much and have a good week. Until next week, this is Alex Guthrie signing off.
The views and opinions of this program are for educational and entertainment purposes only and are not intended to replace the recommendations of a hired professional. You can catch Remodel Revolution anytime. Follow the show on the website, remodelrevolutionradio.com, or on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest, using the handle at Remodel Revolution Radio. You can always listen to the show on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and TuneIn. And watch the show anytime on YouTube.